who's actually going to love this patio set, and who should just keep scrolling. If you're wondering whether the purple leaf outdoor patio furniture set is a smart buy for a weekend chilling spot, a family-sized dinner al fresco, or just another piece of garden clutter, you're in the right place. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks watching a handful of backyard setups, digging through forums where people complain about wobbly tables and sofas that turn into splinters after a season, and testing a few different pieces myself. The goal here isn't to hand you a list of specs, it's to help you decide if this particular 5-piece set solves the real problems you face when you try to relax outdoors. And, of course, we'll weigh the price against what you actually get. First off, let's talk about the kind of space where this set makes sense. The purple leaf set includes 2 daybeds, 2 side chairs, and a central sintered stone table. The design is unmistakably classic architectural, clean lines, a neutral color palette, and a low-profile silhouette that fits nicely into both small patio corners and larger deck areas. If your home has a modestly sized patio, say, 12 by 15 feet, the footprint of this set, roughly 9 feet across the daybeds, will fill the space without making it feel cramped. It also works for larger backyards where you want to create a dedicated conversation zone that feels a bit more formal than a cheap metal folding table. Now, who should definitely consider buying this? If you host occasional weekend brunches, enjoy reading a book on a sunny afternoon, or need a sturdy surface for a couple of drinks while the kids splash in a pool, the set checks most boxes. The daybeds are built with an ergonomic comfort focus, meaning the backrests are angled to support a relaxed lounging position without needing a lot of extra cushions. That's a practical plus if you don't want to stock a pile of throw pillows that get drenched after the first rain. The sintered stone tabletop is another highlight because it resists staining and heat, so you can safely place a hot pot or a glass of wine without worrying about discoloration. For anyone who values low-maintenance furniture, especially folks who live in humid climates where rust and mildew are constant threats, the material choices here feel intentional. On the flip side, there are buyers who should probably skip this set. If you have a very tight budget and are looking for a starter patio solution under $300, the price point will likely feel steep. The set sits in a mid to high range tier, and while it doesn't break the bank like some high-end teak collections, it isn't the bargain option you'll find in big box stores. Also, if your patio is heavily shaded or you plan to use the furniture year-round in a region with harsh winters, the materials, while weather-resistant, aren't designed for prolonged exposure to snow and ice. The metal frames could develop surface corrosion over time if not covered, and the sintered stone, though resilient, can become slippery when coated with ice. A big part of value comes from the multifunctional design claim. The daybeds double as lounge chairs and, when you flip the cushion position, can serve as a makeshift bench for a casual dinner. In practice, I found that the transition is smooth. You simply slide the cushion forward, and the backrest folds down, turning the daybed into a flat surface that can hold a tray of snacks. This is handy for small gatherings where you don't want to scramble for extra tables. The side chairs are lightweight enough to move around but solid enough to stay put when someone leans back, thanks to a discreet rubberized foot that grips the deck. In real-world terms, that means fewer moments where a friend unintentionally nudges the chair and watches it tip over. One practical weakness I noticed is the assembly process. The package includes pre-drilled holes and all the hardware you need, but the instructions are a bit terse. If you're not comfortable with a basic screwdriver and a bit of elbow grease, you might spend an hour or more figuring out which leg fits which bracket. The sintered stone table, while heavy, it's about 40 pounds, doesn't come with built-in handles, so getting it onto the patio can be a two-person job. That's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to keep in mind if you live alone or have limited storage space on the way to the deck. Once assembled, however, the joints feel solid, the screws don't loosen after a few weeks of sitting, and the frame feels sturdy enough for adults to recline without fear of a wobble. Another nuance to consider is the cushion material. The set ships with removable cushions that are foam-filled and covered in a water-resistant fabric. In everyday use, the cushions hold their shape surprisingly well. After a sunny summer day, they don't sag dramatically, and a quick wipe with a damp cloth restores them to a presentable state. Yet, if you have pets that love to chew or kids who love to climb the